Hello there, my name is Priscilla and I recently graduated from college and I spent my first few months of freedom job hunting. At first, I was completely thrilled by all the free time that I had, but the process got more and more frustrating until... Oh, hey Priscilla, what are you planning on doing after graduation?
You too!
I know the question's coming before someone asks it, but still, makes me want to run away from my problems. Which I did, but more on that later. Last December, I mentioned to my friends that I really wanted to go to Asia to practice and be forced to speak Mandarin. So I just decided that I would go to Asia by myself for a month and figure it out from there.
And just as a disclaimer, I want to say that I realize that I'm very lucky and privileged to have had the opportunity to travel right after graduation, and I realize that not everybody has the chance to do so. I wanted to take this time to just recount the experiences that I had traveling by myself on a relatively low budget, and I hope you enjoy.
I first wanted to give a shout out to my two favorite travel companions, my Osprey backpack and my Chacos. Not sponsored, seriously. This is Osprey's 40-liter Fairview backpack, and these are my beloved Chacos, which I wore for over 200 miles walking, and they're waterproof, they're great for hiking, you can walk in them. They are a little bit hard to match, but I will show you what I packed. To start off, I grabbed a couple sample-sized toiletries and planned on buying more while I was there. Then I grabbed some makeup before realizing it was way too hot to wear there. And I fit my favorite earrings and necklace in this small pouch. I then packed my essential electronics and chargers. I found the key to saving space was to bring as many adapters as possible. As for tops, I picked a couple neutral pieces and then rolled them all up. Dresses are also great options because you can wear it as a top by throwing some shorts over it, or as a bottom by putting a t-shirt over it. I also made sure to pack easy to match bottoms that were both short and long. I then stuffed all of my undergarments in a pouch as well. And my one pair of pajamas, surprise surprise, also rolled up. I then threw in my only jacket, which was waterproof for the typhoon season. You can fold it like a little burrito, so it saves a lot of space too. Make sure you always bring a swimsuit. And to save space, I stuffed all of my socks inside my shoes. And then I just packed up this Osprey bag and we're ready to go. This bug repellent was amazing. I'm pretty sure my bloodstream is 30% DEET, but I didn't get dengue fever, so who's laughing now? Then I packed in some medicine and put everything inside of my personal bag along with my phone, wallet, and passport. Now that I showed you what I packed, let me show you how I styled my clothes. My biggest tip is to match simple plain clothes with a few statement pieces. First up, I threw this simple white tee over this lavender dress, and you have this simple yet feminine and pastel look that also matches my Chacos. Then you can switch out the simple lavender dress for something a little bit more bold, like this red floral number. This dress is a lot to wear just on its own, but if you throw a white t-shirt over it, it makes it a lot more wearable for every day. And then you can wear this dress in two outfits if you throw a pair of denim shorts over it. Just be sure to tuck all the fabric in and don't let it peek out the bottom. And of course, these denim shorts can be worn with a simple tank top or a cute blouse like this one. I got this white blouse in Hong Kong and I really like it because it dresses up a simple pair of bottoms. Here I just switched out the shorts for a denim skirt and bam, you have a really cute city walking outfit. And when I was feeling lazy, I just wore a simple tank top with a loose fitting pair of pants. Somehow I got lucky enough to get the whole row to myself on the way to Hong Kong. Like I was saying, I wore makeup for approximately 2 days before it all just sweat off my face. But besides that, I just walked around everywhere and I actually got to see my relatives who I haven't seen in 14 years. The craziest thing about traveling alone in Hong Kong was being seated in the empty chair on an almost full table and listening to people speak Cantonese. I met a bunch of people in my hostel and we went to get drinks one night in the second tallest rooftop bar in the world. I actually left the day before the protest shut down the airport, and I flew to Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. I stayed in Chinatown, and it was actually so easy to get around because people assumed that I spoke Mandarin, and it made me feel like I fit in a lot, even more so than in America. I went on a day trip my last day to Malacca, where I met this girl at the bus stop. Had a really fun day. We ate a bunch of food, walked around, had this fun little watermelon smoothie. I found it easier to trust other travelers when I was traveling by myself. There's this great understanding that you're all there to just experience life, so why not do it together? I took the bus back to Kuala Lumpur that night, and I saw the Ghost Festival happening in Chinatown on my way back. People were throwing fake paper money everywhere, and it was so interesting to join the celebration. And I stayed past midnight to see them set all of the paper money on fire. And my next stop was Singapore. And a huge shout out to my friend Jacqueline. Thank you so much for hosting me and taking me to all the hawker centers and feeding me lots of food. We waited in some seriously long lines for this chicken and rice, and it was so freaking good. Thanks for taking me on your errands and driving me around. And her absolutely adorable dog, Cassie. So much love. I also spent a lot of time walking around on my own. I checked out the gardens by the bay, took a lot of self-timer photos, and just explored around. The craziest thing I realized traveling by myself is that nobody knows you. I watched these bands perform at night, and I cheered as loud as I possibly could because they were so good, and they had made my night. I just felt so free and so anonymous in that moment, and that feeling is something you just don't get normally. Singapore is absolutely magical at night, and watching the lights dance on the water was such a great way to end my visit. The next day, I packed up all my stuff, and then I flew over to Siem Reap, Cambodia. When I first got there, the city was absolutely bustling. There were motorbikes going everywhere, and crossing the street was quite an experience. I spent the first night hanging out and meeting people in my hostel, and we had this lovely family dinner with a bunch of people from all around the world. My first day in Cambodia, I woke up at 4 a.m. to catch the sunrise at Angkor Wat. It's crazy to think that this empire flourished between the 9th and the 15th century, then was abandoned and then rediscovered, and now it's this huge tourist site. The next day, some guys from my hostel and I got trapped in the rain on our visit, and I think we really bonded over this experience. It was quite an experience being completely soaked and wandering around these ruins. I love to see sunsets, and the ones here did not disappoint. I went on a little biking tour, and I watched the sunset over a bunch of rice paddies and learned how to fold a lotus flower. I'm so lucky I got to meet a lot of people and share the experience of Cambodia with them. Although the country as a whole has been through a lot in the last 50 years, I was really grateful to the locals for telling me more about the political and economic situation in the country. And I left the country understanding why education was so important and full of hope for the country's future. After Cambodia, I hopped on a plane to Hanoi in Vietnam. The city was insanely crowded. I had arrived quite late at night, but I had so much energy and I wanted to go dance, so I went to a club by myself and met a bunch of people and danced with them. It was utterly fantastic. I checked out some of the touristy things, including Train Street. They're famous here for their egg coffee, which is prepared with egg yolk, sugar, and condensed milk. And look at this consistency. I indulged in multiple cups that day. I stayed in Hanoi only one night because my plan was to catch a bus up north to Giang, where I embarked on a 4-day motorcycle loop. As we drove through the most beautiful and lush mountains, rivers, and trees I've ever seen in my life. This was unforgettable and so beautiful all at once. We stayed in homestays each night with other people on the loop, and we drank lots of happy water. I'll let you guess what that means. It's funny how friendships can form in the most unlikely of situations. I sat on the back of my driver's motorbike for 4 days, and he spoke about 4 words of English and me about 2 phrases of Vietnamese. Despite the language barrier, we became friends at the end, laughing and saying "oh my god" as a truck came around the bend, or lifting our feet as we passed through a puddle. After 4 days of incredible scenery, I came back to Hanoi, and I happened to catch this one little moment when someone asked to go to the bathroom, and we just stopped on the side of the street. My initial intention for this trip was only to visit Taipei, but I ended up going to 5 more countries. A week before I got here, I found out my old college roommate Meredith was also going to be here, so it was so lovely to hang out with her and stay with her. Although I was only here a week, it immediately felt like home again. I went to this breakfast place every day, and after dreaming for 2 years about this one xiaolongbao stall, I finally came back and ordered an entire plate for myself, and I was so happy. I spent the rest of the week taking the train around and eating as much as I possibly could, because night market food is delicious, cheap, and just trumps everything I've ever eaten in my life, so that is not an over-exaggeration. And this last week I took to just decompress and enjoy a good life in Taipei. I absolutely love solo traveling, and I wanted to give you some tips in case you were interested in going. There are so many perks to being by yourself and experiencing things that is completely different from traveling with a friend. The best thing about solo traveling is that you get to call all the shots. And if one day I don't feel like talking to anyone, I don't have to talk to anyone. I can just whip out Google Maps and walk wherever I want by myself, eat whatever I want, do whatever I want, stop, take photos whenever I want. It's great. If I did get lonely, I would go into my hostel's common rooms and just talk to people, ask them what they were doing that day, and ask if I could tag along. And it's so easy to make friends. When you are traveling, everybody's kind of in the same boat, and everybody just wants to meet new people. I got to meet people from all over the world that were so completely out of my normal bubble of people that I hang out with, which I think is the craziest thing. It's easy for me to get caught up in my daily life and never meet anyone outside of my friend circle, or my mutual friend circle, or my mutual friend circle. But in this way, I just met people from different countries, a lot of people from Europe because they have vacation days like nothing else. All kinds of people, all kinds of ages, and at just completely different points in their lives. I've lived in California my whole life, but traveling made me really realize that California is just one state in a larger country, in an even larger continent, in the freaking massive world. And I'm just a speckle in that world. And that is a humbling feeling to have. And no, you do not have to travel to have that feeling, but being in a foreign country makes you feel like that. And it made me feel excited and powered up to do something good and like make a name for myself out there in this world. I saw that there was a lot of things that need improvement in this world, and not just in the US. And those are the things that I want to work on. Those are the things that matter. So for those of you who did want tips on traveling by yourself, like I said in my intro, this is my second time solo traveling, and the first time was in Europe and this time was in Southeast Asia. I did have the advantage that I speak Mandarin and was able to do so in 4 out of the 6 countries that I visited. I understand that it is daunting to go to a foreign country by yourself, especially if you're female. And just like planning any other trip, I think it's really important to take safety precautions. And so things that I did, I tried to take flights that got in the daytime. I took public transportation everywhere. I would do things like take a Grab at night instead of walking, just so I didn't have to be on the street by myself. Don't listen to music at night. I didn't drink much alcohol unless I was with a group of people that I had met and trusted. I made sure to stay at hostels that had really good ratings that I read beforehand, and I used booking.com and hostelworld.com to book my hostels in advance. I went into this trip not having that much of a plan. All I had done was booked my flight to Hong Kong and then my flight from Taiwan back home. And I left myself about a span of a month in order to figure out what I wanted to do between. I definitely felt like I rushed my trip because I tried to squish in 6 different countries. I ended up only going to 1 or 2 cities in each country, which I don't think gives you a full picture of what a country is like. I like trips where I feel like I'm constantly doing things and like making the most of my time, so I didn't really mind that. But that is something to keep in mind if you do want to relax a little bit more. If you do have the opportunity to take a trip, either by yourself or just to a foreign country, I highly, highly recommend it. It's a great time to learn about another culture, but also just learn about yourself. And there is nothing better than knowledge. And I hope to whoever's watching this that you feel a little bit inspired to do something. And it doesn't have to be a grand old trip or anything like that, but just something out of your comfort zone that'll make you learn about yourself and learn a little bit more about this world. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.